The hype is real. Meet Ace Bailey.
Knifing inside. Bailey.
Turnaround. Jumper.
Bailey with some.
Got to pull up for three.
Imagine a 6'10" forward with the silky scoring touch of a Kevin Durant, the smooth footwork of a Jayson Tatum, and a swagger all his own. Meet Ace Bailey. This kid has turned the basketball world on its head, at Rutgers University of all places. Not exactly known as a factory for one-and-done NBA superstars, Rutgers suddenly found its gym packed, with NBA scouts flocking to see Ace in action. And trust me, the hype is real. We're talking about a consensus top 3 recruit in the nation, ranked the number 2 player in his high school class, only behind phenom Cooper Flagg. From jaw-dropping high school highlights to drawing comparisons with NBA greats, Ace Bailey's journey has been anything but ordinary. In today's video, we'll break down why scouts are salivating over Ace's game, revisit his best moments, including some that went mega viral, discuss the few concerns in his skill set, and see just how high this Rutgers prodigy could climb. Before he ever set foot on the Rutgers campus, Ace Bailey was already a legend in the making on the high school scene. Hailing from McEachin High in Georgia, Ace was the state's #1 recruit and a top 3 prospect nationally. Some outlets even crowned him the #1 player in the country. And he earned those stripes. This guy's high school highlight reel looks like something out of a video game. In the Georgia State semifinals, Ace erupted for 32 points and 15 rebounds, carrying his team to victory. He was simply unstoppable, hitting tough shots, snagging boards, and throwing down dunks that made opponents question their life choices. Speaking of dunks, Ace produced some viral moments that had the internet buzzing. One insane poster dunk he pulled off was so nasty, it had folks calling it the dunk of the year on social media. By the end of his high school career, Ace wasn't just collecting highlight reels, he was collecting accolades. He led his team deep into the playoffs, and along the way he convinced everyone that this kid was something special. When the time came to choose a college, Bailey shocked everyone by committing to Rutgers, instantly making him the highest rated recruit in program history. Rutgers landing a 5-star of Ace's caliber was unheard of, and it set the stage for a new era in Piscataway. So what makes Ace Bailey such a coveted prospect? In a word, talent, oozing at the seams. He's a matchup nightmare, a 6'10" wing who moves like a guard and plays above the rim with ease. Bailey has terrific size and effortless athleticism for a wing, covering the court fluidly and throwing down dunks as if gravity just doesn't apply. But what really gets scouts excited is his scoring ability. As one draft scout put it, a ridiculous shot-making machine, capable of splashing contested jumpers from every spot on the floor. Translation? He's a bucket. Pull-up threes, step back, mid-range shots, fadeaways with a hand in your face, you name it, he can knock it down. That kind of 3-level scoring ability at his size has talent evaluators salivating. It's why you hear those lofty comparisons to guys like Kevin Durant or Paul George, tall forwards who can handle the rock and shoot over anyone. In fact, don't take our word on the Paul George comp, take it from Paul George himself. Paul George said on his podcast that if he had the #1 pick, I would probably go Ace Bailey. He's a little bit more raw talent and can scratch a little bit more off his surface than Cooper Flagg can.
If you had the #1 pick, who are you going with? You have Ace Bailey or Cooper Flagg?
I would probably go Ace Bailey. I think Ace Bailey is a little bit more raw talent with, still a ton of upside. I think he can scratch a little bit more off of his surface than Cooper Flagg can.
Essentially saying Ace might have the higher ceiling. Keep in mind, Flagg has been touted as a generational prospect. George even admitted that he sees some of himself in Bailey's game, and predicted both Ace and Flagg will be all-stars one day. When an NBA superstar compares you favorably to the most hyped prep player in years, that's about as big of a stamp of approval as it gets. To round out the comparison list, some scouts have tossed out Jayson Tatum's name when watching Ace. The way Bailey can create shots smoothly at 6'10", does bring Tatum to mind, especially with those one-footed leaners and tough fades. No pressure, right? What makes these comparisons believable is how polished yet potential-packed Ace's offensive game is. He's comfortable handling the ball in the open court, he can drive coast to coast, and he has the court vision to drop dimes if a teammate is open. Don't sleep on his passing. While he's a scorer at heart, he's shown he can make the right play when defenses collapse on him. But make no mistake, scoring is definitely his calling card. At Rutgers practices and games, there were moments when Bailey looked unguardable. A quick crossover, a burst of speed, then bang, a pull-up jumper from the elbow that barely even tickles the net. He has that tough shot maker badge unlocked. In fact, as a freshman, he quickly earned a reputation as arguably the best tough shot maker in all of college basketball. That natural ability to hit defended shots that most players wouldn't even dare to take. It's the hallmark of a future go-to scorer in the NBA. When Bailey arrived at Rutgers, the hype was through the roof, and he did not disappoint. Teaming up with another elite recruit, point guard Dylan Harper, Ace turned Rutgers into must-see TV for scouts. How rare was this duo? They were poised to become the first college teammates to both go top 5 in the NBA draft since Duke's Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett in 2019. How about that? Little old Rutgers with 2 potential top 5 picks. The season itself had ups and downs for the Scarlet Knights. They finished just 14-16 and missed the NCAA tournament. But even in a challenging season, Ace Bailey made his case as a future star. From day one, Bailey was putting up numbers. He led the team in scoring, averaging about 18.2 points per game as a freshman. Instant offense. For context, that's the highest freshman scoring average Rutgers has seen in decades. And it wasn't an empty 18 points either. They were tough buckets that often came when Rutgers needed them. Bailey had nights where he absolutely took over, even against Big Ten competition loaded with older, stronger players. Picture this, Rutgers is battling a ranked opponent. Shot clock winding down and everyone's clamped up, so they give it to Ace on the wing. He sizes up his defender, a quick jab step, then rises up for a silky fadeaway from 18 feet out. Splash! The kid was stepping up under pressure and carrying a huge offensive load for a freshman. By the end of the season, he had multiple 20-plus point games, and it's shown he could get his offense going against just about any defender thrown at him. One knock on Bailey coming in was his defense, and early on, he did have some typical freshman lapses. But perhaps most encouraging, his defense got noticeably better as the year went on. The game started slowing down for him on that end. He began using his length to contest shots and even get more active in passing lanes. That wingspan is no joke. He's never going to be primarily known as a stopper, but with his tools, he showed he can be at least solid on that end, and that's huge for his draft stock. Scouts love to see a young player who wants to improve and is coachable, and Ace demonstrated exactly that in his brief college stint. Perhaps the most telling aspect of Bailey's freshman year was that even though Rutgers struggled as a team, NBA scouts remained fully bought in. They weren't dissuaded by the losses because they saw what they needed to see in Ace, a uniquely talented wing who can create his own offense at will and who has only just begun to tap into his potential. By season's end, the whispers grew louder that Bailey would be a one and done, and sure enough, the minute the season wrapped, Ace made it official and declared for the 2025 NBA draft. It's not often Rutgers fans have to say goodbye to a star freshman after 1 year, but this was a special case. Bailey's college chapter was short, yet packed with tantalizing moments that left pro scouts convinced he's lottery material. Now, as amazing as Ace Bailey is, let's pump the brakes just a little and talk about the areas of his game that still need work. Remember, he's only 18. No prospect is a finished product. The first thing that comes up is defense. We touched on it, he improved at Rutgers, but he's not a lockdown defender at this stage. Part of that is just effort and consistency. Learning defensive rotations, staying disciplined play after play, the annoying stuff. In high school, he could coast on offense and save energy on D, but at the next level, he'll be expected to contribute on both ends. The good news is he's showing the willingness and ability to get better, which is half the battle. With his lateral quickness and length, there's no reason Bailey can't become an above-average defender in time, especially if he soaks up everything he's taught. It's all about ironing out habits, things like stance, awareness, and making defense as much a part of his identity as scoring. Even the strides he made in just a few months of college, scouts are optimistic that Ace will continue trending up as a defender. The other often mentioned concern is physical development. Ace has a lanky build, around 6'10 and 200 pounds, meaning he's on the slender side. He's wiry strong, but will need to add muscle to battle NBA forwards. It's a similar story to a lot of young wings entering the league. Think of a teenage Kevin Durant or a Brandon Ingram. Those guys were thin coming in too. Bailey will probably live in the weight room over the next couple of years, and naturally he'll fill out as he ages. The key is that his frame can handle more weight, and he's got the work ethic to put in that work. No one's expecting him to suddenly become a bully ball player, but even a little extra strength will go a long way in unlocking his full arsenal. Once Ace can fully leverage his size, not just his height but his strength, watch out. He's going to be even more dangerous driving to the hoop, absorbing bumps and still scoring, and dishing some punishment of his own on defense. NBA training programs will do wonders for him, so this weakness is more of a temporary stage than a long-term worry. Lastly, one could mention shot selection and playmaking consistency as minor areas to monitor. Because Ace can hit tough shots, sometimes he takes tough shots a bit early in the clock or with a teammate open. It's a confidence thing. Great scorers always believe the next shot's going in. As he matures, he'll learn when to take over and when to simplify the play. The encouraging part is he's shown flashes of good passing, and at Rutgers he had to balance scoring with involving teammates, especially playing alongside another star like Harper. Those experiences will help him in the NBA, where making the right play is crucial. In short, the issues with Ace Bailey are mostly the typical young player stuff. Get stronger, sharpen up defensively, and continue to refine your decision making. Nothing screams red flag. That's why scouts remain so high on him. The strengths vastly outweigh the weaknesses, and the weaknesses are all fixable with time and work. It's easy to see why Ace Bailey has been the talk of draft circles. He's got the size, skill, and that undeniable star quality that you just cannot teach. In one whirlwind year, he went from high school superstar to putting Rutgers on the national basketball map, and now he's headed for the NBA. Potentially, probably, a top 3 pick. The craziest part, he's really just scratching the surface of what he can become. If Ace lands with a team that lets him play through mistakes and grow, we could be looking at the NBA's next great two-way wing. Guaranteed, making it to the NBA takes more than hype. Ace will have to put in the work to reach the ceiling. But everything we've seen so far, from the growth in his game to the way he rose to each challenge, suggests he's got the mindset to maximize his talent. As fans, it's going to be a blast watching his journey. Rutgers fans only got a glimpse, but they'll forever be able to say, we had Ace Bailey first. Now it's onto the big stage, where Ace will try to deal himself into the elite ranks of the NBA. So what do you think? Is Ace the real deal, the next Paul George, or even the next KD in the making? Or does he remind you of someone else? If you like keeping up with basketball's young stars, then you will love what we have in store for you. Join us next time as we look at another up-and-coming NBA wonder kid.